a decision on this tonight, a fair decision. So yeah, I'd like to move it to reports where we can discuss it, but I need more time. I'm sure I'm not the only one that needs more time to speak with these people.
Other discussion on this?
We're talking about appointing people to the Learning Resources Committee. And we've been talking about it easily since last month, the last meeting. And the people who came with concerns about this issue seemed very interested that we find some resolution as quickly as possible. So I have had enough time, and I feel like out of respect for their request, we should take care of this as soon as possible and put this committee in place to look at resources.
So you had enough time to reach out to all the people in the Fort Keenan district to make a decision, or did you already know who you were going to choose prior to this meeting?
I don't plan to reach out to everyone. I've got information here and I've seen it a couple of times. I didn't just see it yesterday.
We were just presented with these names yesterday.
I've seen a list in progress before yesterday. And people have contacted me and we don't have to choose anyone on the list. So I feel prepared, and I feel like out of respect for the people who had grave concerns, we should address this tonight.
And the concern for the Fort Keenan district who elected your successor, is that important?
I think the timeline of the people who wanted this addressed, I feel perfectly capable of doing it. I don't feel like I need to pass it on to the next person. And the timeline is more important than that to me. And I assume to them.
I will note that Ms. Johnson's term doesn't end until the end of the year, and she's entitled to all the responsibilities and benefits related to that employment until the.
I don't disagree. I just note that typically when we have a decision to make, we don't make it immediately and literally 24 hours after we have the list to make a decision on. I mean, I'm not understanding why we're pushing this, but it is what it is.
Just like
Maybe I do understand it.
I haven't seen this but one day. I got it on the email yesterday and got the paper today. It is legitimate, to respond quickly. But I have 11 people on my list, and I've talked to a couple of them, but they're all valid, people that would be on this committee. I don't see where one more month would hurt anything. My opinion.
Yeah, I would like to have more time to reach out to everybody who's on my list and have a conversation with them.
And to be I'm completely honest, after I got the list, I had to get Mr. Gretz to help me download the list because I couldn't get into Google Sheets. And then I had to go call another person that was interested. They haven't even responded to me whether they for certain want to be on this list or not. So I'm still working this. It sounds like other people are, and I only have 2, and I've had others reach out and say they want to be added to it. So I couldn't in good conscience make a decision right now.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of passing the agenda with the revision that 12C be moved into reports instead of action items, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No,
No. We now have an agenda with the revision of 12C being moved into reports. We're now at the consent agenda. Per usual, my short-term memory is not fabulous, and so I don't recall exactly who was at the table in particular. But if you have a reason to sever any of the items in the consent agenda, including the minutes for any absences, please feel free to make the motion accordingly. Do we have any motions related to the consent agenda?
I move we pass the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll say.
Thank you. Any discussion or informational requests? All those in favor of passing the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. We are now on to number 7, public comments. So this is the point of the meeting where we invite members of the community to come forth to stand at the lectern and to address the board for up to 3 minutes each. We ask that you provide your name and address, not direct your comments at any one particular board member, and to treat one another with respect. There will be a second round of public comments later in the evening. You are welcome to provide commentary at either or both. Is there anyone who would like to come forth and be heard? Good evening.
Evening, I'm Jessica Jackson, Palmyra, Virginia. A Retirement Blessing by Barbara McAdam. You started on this journey so many years ago, and now it's time to leave behind work you've come to know. You sought divine direction and a heart to do His will. Your work became your passion as you used your gifts and skills. You set the highest standard for yourself and others too, showing honor, pride, and dignity. They saw the best in you. So don't waste one more minute wishing for things that might have been. Rather watch the seed you've planted grow and feel God's peace within. I pray God keeps you safe and well wherever you may turn, surrounded by your loved ones, living out the dreams you've earned. And in the quiet of your heart, may you hear God softly say, my good and faithful servant, I'm so proud of you this day. To Perry, thank you for all you've done.
Miss Jackson, thank you so very much. That was just lovely.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to come forth and be heard? Seeing none, I'm going to close the first round of public comments. We will again have a second round towards the end of the meeting. And on that note, we are on to 8, presentation and recognition. It is noteworthy that this is Ms. Johnson's final meeting with us after 8 years of service on this board and 25 years in education before that. And for those unaware, we had a ceremony preceding this at 4:30, which honored the outgoing treasurer, 2 board of supervisors, and Ms. Johnson. And so we had a moment to say lovely things and to provide a plaque, which we've already given her, which I imagine is probably in your car and not
It is.
here.
With my cake.
There was some cake. And so we presented Ms. Johnson with the Legacy Award, as well as Ms. Booker for her service in public education and in the county as well. And so without much formality, I just want to say that Ms. Johnson will be missed on this board. I can honestly say that I can't think of much that we've accomplished over the last 4 years and 8 years, and the 4 years before me, that didn't go through or wasn't influenced significantly by Ms. Johnson's passion for public education. And so I certainly, we certainly welcome new members as necessary and as appropriate next month, but you'll be missed. And I hope my colleagues will similarly express some thanks and goodwill.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'd just like to say to everyone here, thank you for being here tonight. This is so important to me, and I'm thrilled to see important to you. Please stay active, and thank you.
Any other board members inclined to?
I'll say it later.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you, Ms. Johnson, for all your hard work. It's impressive to see somebody with all the years of service and continue to serve our community well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would echo the same as Andre.
We appreciate that.
And I'm not a board member, Dr.
Please.
Kelly, but I'd love to just say, Ms. Johnson, you're the first person I spoke to in Fluvanna. The first person who called, obviously, to give me the good news that you were gonna, as a board, invite me to be a part of this team in this community. And excuse me, losing my voice. You've approached everything you've done thoughtfully. You've thoroughly considered everything. You've been an invaluable help to me. And you've been just exceedingly kind to me and to my family. And just appreciate so much having started my time here with you. The work that you've done, I really appreciate it. And I hope that our interactions won't stop now that you're not on the see in the future. Work with you and continue to gain from your expertise and wisdom.
Thank you, Dr. Gretz.
Absolutely.
I will also note that, or not Ms. Johnson's retirement from this chair, some odd years ago, I would not have had this experience or perspective. And I will note, how difficult sitting in this seat is and what a tremendous pest, I was in my early years here. And, so I thank you for the opportunity to mature on this board and to lead it. And, I know that it is, thankless, but I thank you. Alrighty, so we are then on to 9 reports from the superintendent.
Thank you. Board members, you can see, I'm not going to go through everything, but there's a link to the superintendent's blog. The staff advisory committee meeting was a little bit later this month because we had put it off from before, so I'll have those minutes out. Well, this week before, so tomorrow. And you'll be able to go to the website and see, there's a link to the blog. You can see those things in the December report. I'll just simply say there's quite a bit going on. We have a lot of events, as we do every time this year. We've got a lot of projects underway. The HVAC is moving forward. We're working with the design team for the Abrams renovation. That's going a little more slowly than we had hoped. But is there anything in the report that you'd like me to highlight specifically? If not, I'll just simply leave it there for your reference.
Why don't you highlight what happened at the Board of Supervisors last week?
Okay, well, the supervisors considered the request that this board approved in November to ask for year-end funds to support 2 things. One was to support the renovation of the bathrooms, 4 of the bathrooms at Central Elementary. And I don't have that in front of me, Ms. Gillum. You might be able to, it's 400 and.
It was our
Yeah.
carryover.
Sorry.
I'm
It
gonna
was
say
our,
about
it
480.
was what we returned less 30,000.
480,000 or so, which was approved. The secondary request was a enrollment projection and housing study that would be done by a firm to try to put the schools in a better position to respond to the impact of recent development in housing and what that might do with regards to student attendance and facility capacity. That was $30,000 that we were estimating. That one was not approved, but it is something that we'll want to consider during the budget this year, which is what the supervisors during their discussion indicated, is that they would prefer to handle that in the budget process. I can't emphasize from my point of view how urgent I think that is and late we are in doing that, candidly. So I do think that's something, that's information we need. And so as we go through the process this year, I'll work with the board and advocate for that, and we can make our decisions accordingly. But that's what happened at the meeting. So the great news is those bathrooms are going to be renovated. And there's a bid spec being developed, a scope of work as we speak.
It's about 400.
490. Okay.
And these, I'll note that during the discussion, Mr. Sheridan and others noted that these are the original bathrooms that they used when they were students in those schools. And particular attention from Chris Fairchild to note that he did not overlap with Mr. Sheridan.
Mr. Gretz,
Yes, sir.
just for clarity, that's for 4 bathrooms, correct?
That's right.
believe the CIP for the entirety of Central Elementary is northwards of a million or 1.5-ish. So this will get the 4 oldest bathrooms in the schools done, but not the remainder and none of the individuals.
That's right. And honestly, I think the key offenders, if you will, in terms of the odor and some of the things that are, you know, in the floor with regards to just decades of urine. I don't know any other way to say that. Anybody that's raised elementary school boys, you know what that looks like in that. The other thing I'll say about the 490, Mr. Rittenhouse, is that that's the amount, and it's based on a conceptual estimate that we got. An architectural firm came out and they took some measurements and they talked to us a little bit about scope, but by no means does that mean that's what it's gonna cost. They'll come out and they'll do an actual scope of
I
work.
know that you can't see stuff behind the walls.
Well, that's true, that's true. But they'll work with our team to design a scope, and then we'll take that and we'll get bids from contractors, and they will give us proposals, and this board will approve any expenditure before it ever happens.
The restrooms on the new wing of Central, well, I call the new wing, the newer wing of Central, those are still in good condition, correct? Or are those included in this?
No, they're not included in this. What would you call the wing where the others are, Dr. Stribling? There's the two right across from the.
The older bathrooms are the carryover, so the boys' restroom across from the main office, the girls' restroom at the end of that hallway, and then directly up those rooms. The other ones are currently involved in the CIP request, and all of them require a different amount of support. And that's not external once we get in there.
So this will at least get the oldest buildings or the oldest bathrooms done, and obviously the rest will be left to the CIP and the planning commission. The bad news in that is that we won't have the population study, which is unfortunate. Hopefully this board will be able to come to terms with the fact that it is a necessary thing given the development that's happening around the county, and knowing how many students we're ultimately going to get, whether it's from Colonial Circle or other developments that have opened and or are planned, is critical to understanding our space and where students will ultimately go when they arrive here. Anything else in the superintendent's report we want to double click into? I'll note that I was at the second grade Pod 1 holiday concert last night, and it was quite lovely. It's a nice way to spend an evening and see a bunch of really energetic, enthusiastic, and excited kids on stage. It's hard to imagine that's only half of the second graders. I see it all the time, but still, when I see that many students on stage in tears and it's still just half of them, just how massive that grade level is. And
There's some pictures of that event on my blog.
oh, love it. Alrighty. So now we're on to the naming of the Fluvanna High School auditorium. Dr. Gretz.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. You will remember, board members, that this was something that had come before the board several months ago. The collective decision was that it would be postponed until after the election season. And I believe specifically in those minutes, it was asked that we bring it back up in December. And so we put it on the agenda accordingly. Nothing's changed with the proposal. You can see in the agenda, there's the proposal and the note that's been written by that team. And there's a list of people that they've included endorsing the proposal. If you look at the naming of facilities policy that the board has, and that is policy FFA. It indicates that it's the school board's responsibility to name facilities. It doesn't define facilities, so whether talking about schools or fields, or in this case, an auditorium, you have flexibility to decide that. But that when those proposals come to you, suggestions regarding the name of a school or a school facility must be in writing, as this is, must state the name of the person or group making the suggestion, which you have, and must state the reasons supporting the suggestion. That's included in the letter as well. And then the school board may, don't have to, may create a committee to make recommendations to this board about that proposal. So you have the proposal in front of you, you can discuss it, you can think about how you'd want to proceed, you can appoint a committee to consider it further, or you as a board can simply consider what you have further, or you can certainly direct me however you'd like.
I'm the one who asked for it to be postponed until after the election, and when I did that, I said in December, I'll make the motion to support it. And I stand by my word, and I'd like to move this to an action item. We discussed it in depth then, and I think it would be important to you to do this tonight, wouldn't it?
No, generally, I am not in favor of naming facilities.
Well, if anybody would agrees with me, I'd like to make this happen tonight if we could.
Any board member may make a motion.
I move to move item 9B to action items.
Is there a second? All right, so thank you, regardless of whether it's for the sake of discussion. So so what I'm hearing is a wish to move this directly for action. I do not have the same reservations about naming facilities for individuals. So I am inclined, whether it becomes an action item tonight or whether it becomes an action item in a future meeting, I will be voting in support of this. I actually also didn't have the reservations about needing to move it because somebody was running for public office. But I understand that that was the sentiment, and so thoughts from other board members as to whether you wish to take this up tonight or for it to appear on a future agenda accordingly.
I know we've been thinking about this for a while, for a couple of months now. That being said, I'd like more time.
I have a question, Mr. Pullen. You were very interested in my Mr. Reed making the last decision. Do you not feel that he should be included in this decision in the same way?
Man, we discussed this in depth months, and I mean, what would have been June?
In Ms. Johnson's defense, we've been talking about book committees ad nauseum for 5 months here, including, you know, most of the people coming up to the lectern were between Kent Store and Cunningham District. So just wanted to point out that, like, you know, expediency works a number of ways. And so
I said, when I asked for it to be postponed, I said that in December, I'll bring it back up for action. I did say that, correct?
No, you did. I'm not like,
So I stand by that. And if anybody feels differently, that's fine. But I said in December, I'd bring it back up regardless of the outcome. And honestly, I didn't notice at the bottom. I would have made the motion earlier if I didn't notice it.
Andre, any thoughts about whether you'd like to tackle this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to move forward and, you know, decide the decision.
Okay, so for the sake of housekeeping, what I have is a motion and a second. So a motion from Mr. Pullen, a second from Mr. Key here to add action item 12E, which will be approval of the naming of the. Sorry, I just want to get it all right. So to add action item 12E. Approval of naming of the Fluvanna County High School Auditorium. Does that encapsulate it?
Yes, sir.
Right, motion second, any further discussion? All those in favor to add that additional action item, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
4-1, we will have an action item 12E later on in the meeting. Is there anything left to discuss here beyond that for the moment? Alrighty. So we are on to 12C, which is the fiscal year 23 budget update. Ms. Gillum.
Good evening. I
Good
don't
evening.
have anything to add to 23. I think we've already discussed that. So we can move on to 24.
We finally have a mic system that works with you in the seats and you're at the lectern. That-
Okay.
Thank you. Fiscal year 24.
So this is our most recent update after we've run November payroll. We are seeing that payroll is running about $3.6 million a month when everything's included, which is higher than it was the previous year. We're running without all of the all-in money and the funding that we got for school construction. The payroll's running close to 80% of the budget. So when we look at the budget, and talk about, planning for next year, just a large portion of our current budget is the payroll. It always has been, but it is higher than it had been in the past. I looked at that with Dr. Gretz the other day, and we could just kind of see the trend in terms of where that's been falling. So when we talk about funding for next year, and we're talking about staff increases and those things, that's a big part of where that's all gonna come from.
Sorry, say that again. So our payroll is trending higher than expected, and that's a product of.
Well, not higher than expected, but higher than it has been in terms of the percentage of the overall budget.
It's going from, I'm gonna say about 74% to 78 or 9.
Yes,
Which is a sign of real income growth for staff, whereas the more fixed cost things have stayed relatively level by comparison, like in a relative sense.
yes, and I guess the danger in all of that is that we understand that the fixed cost items, the other items that are part of your budget that are not personnel, we know from going to the grocery store that those are going up. And so it just stands to reason when we start planning for next year that we need to look at compensation, but also on that other side of things, those factors that are increasing. When you look at I've been analyzing the line items in the budget and looking at those pieces of it. I think we're in fairly good shape right now, but the budget is so tight with personnel that if there's unexpected things that come up, it makes it very challenging, of course. We're still working through federal revenue, so we don't have federal revenue in here at this point, but we are getting state money, and the all-in money has started to come in as well. Any questions that you have? The operations budget looks like a lower expenditure, but that's because that 1.7 is in there for that construction money. And then this is all the supplemental appropriations that have been approved by the Board of Supervisors today. And I don't anticipate any more at this point, but it's just all the federal grants and state grants that have come in. And you see all the different things that we're managing in terms of different grants. Special thanks to Ms. Soares and Ms. Valentine for working on those and making sure that we're in compliance with a lot of those things. But a lot of that's a lot of work in terms of trying to get reimbursements in and revisions to grants and those sorts of things. So those are definitely a challenge.
Yeah, this is overwhelming in a lot of ways. Just the sheer amount of line items and supplemental appropriations that you all dispatch with, let alone on top of that, the healthcare system that we'll talk about soon.
Yes.
Anything on 24 before we move to 25? All right.
And then the only thing you have in your packet for 25 is the budget calendar, and I do need a budget work session in January. I don't know if you want to wait until you do your January board meeting to make a decision on when that will be, but that's gonna be a real tight turnaround in terms of the January meeting and then having to have a presentation at the start of February for the budget.
Yeah,
I'm anticipating that either this week or the end of next week, we'll get the governor's budget. I don't have a timeline on that. And that will definitely give us more indicators in terms of what we might see in terms of compensation and those pieces that might be built into that.
I mean, do we have any faith in a normal timeline by comparison to last year?
Well, the governor always releases his budget at
Sure.
this time, so that part we won't have an issue with. The issue is gonna be when they get to the House and the Senate. And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this year was an
Yes.
outlier and honestly just absolutely ridiculous.
We do have the LCI, it did drop slightly, which when it drops, that means the state share is higher. So that
So-
will benefit us, but I don't have a good feel on how much that's gonna benefit us until I see that governor's template.
Is it fair to say that that's an indication of relative poverty by comparison to the surrounding and other divisions in the state?
Right, so it's all based on it's basically a comparison with other counties across the state. And so that means that other counties are performing or have more income than we do at this point. But it's all a ratio that they use, and so it's kind of hard to say. I did have a conversation with Ms. Jones last week, and she's indicating that she does think what she's hearing from the state is that if our numbers stay the same as they are now, that all of our schools would have free lunch next year because of the ability to pay. Obviously, that's still something to be determined, but certainly would have an impact on us in terms of us looking at the debt that we're under, and then also just the ease of doing the lunches for students and the access to food.
Yeah, one thing I had heard is that the FDA, when it's free lunches, that the revenue we receive from the federal government is actually significantly less than what we charge. And so that would have implications for balancing their budget. Is that-
I don't know, I'd have to ask her that. I don't-
Okay, could we just like poke at that, assuming that we're going to be free and reduced across all schools next year, making sure that we have enough revenue in their independent budget to staff it. I mean, if it's free lunch, there's going to actually, I would hope that there would be more students going through the line taking advantage of it. There are more meals to prep, and so that's actually more staff time. So it would be decreased revenue and increased demand for staff. I just want to make sure that those things
Mhm.
balance out as it relates to their budget.
And we're also adding that staff to our salary study so that we make sure that the compensation is adequate.
Yeah, I mean, part of the difficulty is that it's required to be a self-sustaining budget, or like at least we vote on it, but it's not part of our
Yes,
revenue.
it's not part of our revenue, it's an enterprise fund.
And so it's kind of one of those things where we should and will add it to the salary study. We just have little agency over it in some ways if what we get from the federal government in terms of revenue doesn't cover increased pay.
And we just wanna, because we've had some issues in the past with turnover there and some staff saying, well, I could get a better paying job if I go here. And so just trying to make sure, like we did with all of our staff, that the compensation is consistent with what it is with the neighboring counties.
Yeah, totally. And none of my questions are actually negative in connotation. It's just about the like supply and demand and balancing a budget. And
Sure.
if we get less money, can we still pay staff more, which we absolutely need to. So thank you for that.
Trying to think if there's anything else on your radar for 25. Regrets.
Do we want to, let's talk about the budgets. Well, shoot, we're gonna need to email, because not everyone is in the room, so we can't really set a date, without our newest member. And so I know that we each have an email from Ms. Kreitzer printed out related to dates between January 16 and January 26th. I don't know to what extent this has gone to our newest member, or if we need to wait for them to get sworn in before we can do that communication, but did you say it has, or?
Excuse me.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Gretz.
I have a meeting with, just happened to have a meeting with him on Friday.
Uh-huh.
So I'm happy, if the board wants to set tentative dates, I'm happy to try to coalesce those with him when I meet with him.
Okay, so we need to do it between the 16th and the 26th. It strikes me that, that's a short duration. I wouldn't wanna. So it seems reasonable to do it either on the 10th or the 24th of January, maybe, given we meet on Wednesday nights, maybe just adding the 4th Wednesday could be an option. Or do folks have availability on Wednesday evenings?
I can do the 24th, and he said he's flexible.
Oh, are you, okay.
Said he can do any of those days except for Friday night.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. I'll just look to the sky since that's the microphone, but I imagine you're elsewhere. Mr. Rittenhouse,
Do the 24th.
the 24th,
Yeah, I can work on.
Mr. Key.
And are you talking about making that a night meeting? Because in the past, we've done that during the day, but
Oh,
I'm just asking.
I guess that is true that we have historically.
There is a prep.
Yeah, I have a prep meeting in the morning that particular day. Is there a reason we, assuming that availability is for evening, is there a reason we couldn't do it at 6 or 6:30? Like, I guess it's just additional burden for the staff.
That's fine.
Anytime.
What do you think, Mr. King?
We talk about morning or afternoon.
I was thinking at similar time to this, so let's say like 6:30 here on Wednesday, the 24th of January. Okay, so I'm hearing 6:30 on January 24th. Good.
Did you get
And-
that, Ms. Kreitzer?
And Mr. Pullen and Mr. Reed are both good for 6:30. Okay. We have a seminar date, January 24th, 6:30 PM here.
And please understand, depending on how much we're able to get done and what we're kind of consensus we're able to come back to, it might require additional meetings being scheduled.
Yeah, in which case would we have the availability to, anytime before the 7th, we could book
Yes.
a second meeting?
Yes.
All right, yeah, I think that works then. All right, so we'll see folks for a regular meeting on the 10th here at 6:30, and then a bonus meeting on the 24th in the evening as well. Excellent, thank you for that, and sorry to make it an evening one. Sometimes the morning ones are difficult anyway, but I appreciate your flexibility. So I think that unless others have questions, well, actually, one of the things that we'll want to talk about, and it'll be more appropriate for the 10th, is scheduling our meetings. I continue, and I know that there's differing opinion on the board. I fully believe that a board who is making proposals for budgets and asking for money should be in attendance when those things are being discussed, and that we can't be in two places at once. So I hope that as we look at adopting a calendar for the school board in 2024, that we look and overlap with the Board of Supervisors, so we know when there are overlaps. I'm hopeful that, or rather, I would be interested in having that information when we set our calendar next month. I'm curious if we could have staff kind of jot down where those overlaps would occur if we stay on a Wednesday evening schedule.
Sure.
Okay. Right, then we are on to the health insurance update.
So, you had the opportunity to meet with all of you. Since that time, we did get a quote from Local Choice. We looked at that with our consultant. When you add in the run out, prescription drugs and dental and vision, it was not any really difference between that and what we had in the Jefferson Health proposals. I'd be happy to answer any questions or attempt to answer any questions that you might have that have come up since the time we talked.
So what's your recommendation? We all heard you, that's, kind of mind-boggling, you know, $6 or $7 million.
Yeah, I do think it benefits us to stay self-insured. By staying self-insured, if you, even if your rate is higher than was your anticipated claims, you retain those monies, you don't give those away. And then they have an opportunity to grow interest in your account, and the claims are the claims, so you're really just, you're paying for the claims. We can negotiate with the carriers relative to the administrative fees, but those are really a small portion of what we're paying. It's really comes down to the claims. My recommendation would be to stay self-insured. I do think we talked, just for the benefit of the audience, we talked about Jefferson Health is managing the financial side and the claim fund. BPA was doing the TPA work and processing the claims. We had concerns about BPA. They've since been bought out. It was our intention, that was really why, one of the big reasons we went out to RFP was the poor customer service we were getting from BPA. So if you decide tonight that you're going to continue with Jefferson Health, we do have to let them know by the end of December if we're not going to continue with them. And then if we do decide to continue in that route, then what we would do is interview TPAs and bring a recommendation to you for which TPA we'd want to use. One of the options would be WellNet, which is the company that bought BPA. And then there are 2 other options there that we can take a look at as well.
How does that end up with the participants, everybody that gets insurance? Will the rates stay the same?
Well, that would be a discussion for fiscal year 25. Right now, we're projecting a 10 to 12% increase, which would be about, if you count in the prescription rebates, I think it would be about $450,000 to $500,000 added to the budget. So you would have to decide whether you wanted to pass that on to the employee or absorb that. We've had long stretches where we did not pass those rates on to the employees. I think 2 years ago, we did pass part of the rate increase on to employees. And last year we did not. So that would certainly be part of the discussion for the board.
Yeah, I think some of the difficulty here is the fact that, you know, if the state is ultimately looking at 4% increases for staff on salaries, and we're looking at, you know, let's say a 10% increase in our health insurance. So right now, I think the cost for a family plan is about $1,000. So if we do, you know, 1,000 times 1.1, that's an extra $100 a month. So that's a $1,200 decrease in pre-tax income and a 4% increase on a $50,000 teacher salary is $2,000. So it eats over half of the pay increase if we ultimately pass 100% of the healthcare insurance increase on. So when we tackle this next year, and setting our budget and making those decisions, I hope that we will consider the impact, like the real net impact of what we're giving as an increase and then what we would be taking as increases in healthcare expenditures.
I think
I'm sorry, go ahead, Brenda.
I was just gonna say, I think what you saw when we were looking at the different proposals is there wasn't much difference between one proposal to the other. It's more about the customer service because of the claims history that we have.
I was just want to clarify with everybody that your decision tonight really is related to whether or not you can stay with Jefferson Health. If you do, you have time for us to actually bring in those that made proposals, interview them, and go a little deeper in those negotiations so that you aren't choosing tonight between the proposals that you looked at when you came in to meet with us. Except
I mean, we are fundamentally, so you're,
choosing between three of them or one of them.
right, so it's, do we stay with Jefferson Health or not? We have that proposal from, what was it, First Choice, and so we're ultimately choosing on that, and then we'll subsequently get to determine who's going to manage the TPA, who's going to actually do the processing for us. But your recommendation from everything I've heard is to stay with Jefferson Health, and that is the only thing that we intend to vote on tonight. Is that correct?
Yes. That-
Self-funded, right, Lynn?
It's self-funded with Jefferson Health, and they've done our financials for the last 3 years, and we've had no issues with them. They're a nonprofit that work with public entities. And so I do feel like they're well equipped to help us with what we need help with in that arena. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Paul, anything I can help with? Or- Good to go.
Trying to clarify.
The acronyms are horrible.
Yes, I was getting BPA, TPA. Trying.
Can you go ahead and, for the benefit of anyone who's not in the room, as well as those in, the acronyms TPA and BPA?
BPA is Benefit Plan Administrators. They are the TPA, our current TPA, and I'm gonna look up what TPA stands for because I don't want to tell you wrong. Third party administrator, thank you.
Alright, so we have Jefferson Health, which is our self-insured insurance model. And then we need a third-party administrator to effectively execute the plans with Jefferson and deal with all of our paperwork. Their name happens to be BPA,
Yes. And
which is confusing with TPA, but so be it. We're choosing tonight whether or not to stay self-insured or go through a fully insured model. And then subsequent meetings, we will decide on our TPA, our third-party administrator, whether to go with BPA, who has been bought out by another company, so we'll never have to use that acronym again, or whether we want to use one of the other proposals.
Yes.
Cool. I have music, the music man rhymes in my head now. I think P stands for pool. Alrighty, so we're on to G, the art history textbook adoption. We're under first review, Ms. Gillen.
Down too fast, I'm sorry.
No,
So we're teaching AP Art History for the first time this year. We'd actually tried to do this as a dual enrollment class, but we weren't able to get approval from Piedmont for that. And so we decided to go with an AP model. This, by teaching this class, it gives us the opportunity for kids to, more kids to earn an associate's degree while they're in high school. It's part of that whole pathway for that. So the teacher's been to training this summer, and then she came back with resources, and the committee looked at the different resources that were recommended, and they're actually asking that we use this website that is free of charge for the images for the AP Art History course. This course saves us from buying a textbook, but I think, you know, they felt like there were way more images there than there would be in the textbooks. And so this is for information this month and action next month. And they do start the course in January, but I've told them, you know, not until after it's been approved can they begin using the resource.
and not to be flip about this, because we're gonna talk about it wait a bit more, but like, I don't know how you do AP art history without some nudity, especially in oil painting, and so to what extent do we just need to like gas up the old learning resource committee?
Well, the part of what we have in our curriculum now is anytime there's any kind of nudity or things that parents might have concerns about, that they have the ability to opt their kid out of that. Because this is an AP course, there are some periods of art that you're going to have to go over in the course. The parents, of course, would have the opportunity to say, I don't want my kid to take that class. But you're right, to totally avoid studying Michelangelo is probably not an option. But it's, of course, we're not talking about
That's an AP class.
pornographic images, we're talking about nudity. And so that there is a difference.
I agree. Thank you.
But you don't have an actual copy, you have to go online.
All of the images are online. They're not, and they're, my understanding is they're from like the National Gallery of Art and Library of Congress, and they're public images.
I thought the committee did a really thorough job in
Yeah.
giving all those reasons why they didn't choose other
Yeah.
resources.
They definitely worked hard on this before making a recommendation, for sure.
Well, thank you to the committee, and we look forward to considering this further next month as an action item. I'll note that I looked at my watch because I got a text from Dr. Gretz, but I think it was minutes ago and my watch is on delay. But as it relates to the local composite index, we are going from 402. So that means that historically, we would be responsible for 40% of the revenue. We as a county would be responsible for 40% of the total state plus county revenue. And that it is going down to 39.34%. And so Fluvanna, Louisa, and Powhatan, based on the acronym, are going to drop. And Albemarle, Charlottesville, Buckingham, and Nelson have all increased on CPI. Is that an accurate depiction of what I'm watching here?
That's what I found just quickly looking at the two biennial spreadsheets.
Super fascinating.
It's
Interesting.
a
Louisa-
ratio that they do across the state, so like all of the schools average out to 50%. You can't be more than 80%.
Or lower than 20.
Right.
So 20 to 80, and so us going down is either, well, it's a number of things, but it either means, well, it means increased poverty relative to everyone else, whether or not our poverty is increased or stayed the same, and others have increased in their income. So
The state regards us a little less able to pay for schools than we were.
I think that was actually perfectly said. Thank you. All right, we're on unfinished business. Continued discussion of the student representative for the school board.
I'm sorry, Dr. Kelly, but was. the-
Oh, H, sorry, thank you. Sorry, I have written down here, 9H being, we're going to discuss the Learning Resource Committee. Right?
Was moved under reports.
So let's,
There's discussion. but that-
I'm sure there is further discussion. So we heard from the community, just level setting. We sat through a number of meetings in which we had parents come in and talk about the material in the classrooms and read some titles, some of which were and weren't in our schools, and have genuine considerations around age appropriateness and whether something should be in a library. So we heard from them last month. We made a motion and adopted a policy and provided forms as it relates to how one can challenge materials, as well as how we would ultimately put together that learning resource committee, even set terms of a year. And then it was on the agenda for tonight, preceding the before adoption of the agenda as an action item. Is there any, go ahead.
Well, I guess and I'm sorry I didn't think about this sooner. You really you have two separate issues that you're considering as a board. One is if you want to include, if you see what Dr. Stribling has pulled up here, you have a certain number of advisory committees that are already in policy.
Mhm.
So if the board wanted to do the Learning Resource Committee, that is added to these. So there are some policy revisions associated with your decision that you had approved on first reading. And so one issue is to approve those again on second reading, the policies.
Is that required? Is that required by law for it to be voted on again? We don't vote on things twice generally, regardless of whether it's first or second reading.
You do policies, but whether that is legally required, I honestly don't know. You invariably vote on them. My point in bringing this up is you have two issues. One is to policies. And the second is appointing people to the committee
Sure.
that's in these policies.
So let's tackle the first one first. So did we not approve the policies last month? Or is my memory faulty?
You did on first reading.
Right, so
This would be the only policy that these would be the only ones you've ever not approved on two readings.
can't imagine that's the case. We have
crazy.
taken up other issues and expedited them.
Issues, yes. Policies, no. You always do policies on two readings. And I'm not pressuring the board to do that.
No, I'm just, I'm happy to add it, assuming there are other board members, and to take action on again, to
If you
put a
take
bow on
action
it.
on these policy revisions, that doesn't impact whether or not you approve committee members.
No, of course. So I'm happy to be different and to put it back on and take the same vote again on second read.
If
to
you
clean it
do,
up.
I would love to call your attention to something that maybe you would discuss. You have discussed it. And maybe we could resolve that.
Okay, well, let's set aside the committee members, the individuals for a moment, and why don't you call our attention to what it is you would like us to pay attention to?
Okay, so Dr. Stribling, if you back up, you'll notice there are three policies that are impacted by the decision to have this committee. One was just up there. The other is KLB. That's the first one, Dr. Stribling, you cleared that up. So this is the one that actually outlines the procedures associated with complaints. And so what I'd like to call your attention to is paragraph number 2. And so you'll notice the red is either an addition or a strike through. So with the revisions, what this says now is a review committee consisting of the principal, the school library media specialist, or librarian. So the first thing I would ask you to consider, since in the high school we have 2, you could put parenthetically after librarian an S. So it's either librarian, or if there are 2, just why not do that to give you the flexibility of both? The classroom teacher if involved. And then instead of a parent and or student, it now says a representative from the school's parent-teacher organization. And then the division instructional supervisor, and you've stricken the complainant. And then we have the members of this new committee. Having spoken to some of our staff, and we talked about this last time, and I remember there were at least 2 of you, I believe, who felt like the complainant should be part of this process. The attorney's reasoning for striking that was not anything related to legal implication, but rather her reasoning was, you've got a complainant who has made their opinion about the resource known. Why would it would be redundant to put them on the committee? You already know how they feel. I've heard mixed feelings about that from staff, and I would love to hear from you. And if you do want to, I think I would recommend having the complainant be a part of it. And they certainly could abstain if they didn't want to. But there's an investment on the part of anybody here who's going to have to read all the materials. And I think it could help with the outcome if the complainant has been part of the process to see how it's been considered, that it's been done thoroughly, that it's been done thoughtfully, rather than just waiting and then getting a response and an answer. But my point in bringing it up is for you to discuss it and just make sure you do want that struck. And I'm suggesting that maybe it'd be a good idea to unstrike it.
Thoughts?
What if they were a non-voting participant?
Well, you bring up an interesting point, Ms. Johnson, because this policy, if you notice, Dr. Stribling, if you scroll down, I believe it's point F. In the process, the responsibilities of the committee are to A, B, C, D, E. F says make a decision. It doesn't say they vote. And we discussed that today. Are they literally voting, or are we just coalescing, or it doesn't specify that. I'm only bringing that up because if you're gonna specify that one is a non-voting member and they don't really vote, they just kind of vocalize and discuss and coalesce, that, I don't know how that would be.
I mean,
But to your point, you could have them just be, so the way this is written now, the complainant is struck from the committee. But if you'll notice under letter D, the responsibility of the committee is to talk with persons who may be knowledgeable about the material in question and similar material, including the complainant. So the intention is for the complainant to be involved in that, to that degree. The discussion I had this morning with some of our leaders was you don't necessarily want to have 10 people with their responsibility to go out and have a conversation with a parent. Would you not want to just have the parent be in the room to begin with? And they can maybe further explore their complaint or their concern rather than potentially 10 people individually seeking out a parent to get input.
I mean, doesn't the form and the challenge in the first place provide the opportunity to voice the considerations around why material should or shouldn't be in a classroom? Well, in this case,
It does.
objectively shouldn't.
It does. I think the policy is tasking the committee with digging into that a little further, I think. Or at least saying that is a responsibility.
I mean, I'm happy to strike including the complaint. I think that if somebody challenges the material, they're saying, hey, look here, take another look at this. And that then the committee, made up of staff and appointed individuals from our respective districts should do that independently. The complainant has other opportunities, including challenges or appeals accordingly. So their role is not finished with the form in and of itself. But I mean, I think it is fine for the role of the complaint to be, hey, you should take another look at this. And then for a committee that doesn't include that individual to do the work. So I'm not inclined that they should be in the room, nor should it be, nor should the committee be responsible for communicating with the complaint. Like, I think that if the complaint is this book isn't appropriate, I think they read the book and that gives them the information they need.
And whoever the person is makes this complaint, where does the complaint go to? Who leads that investigation?
Well, it goes to the principal. But this committee is comprised of all those people. And I think in our case, it would be that instructional supervisor would be the facilitator.
I see both. I agree with what Mr. Kelly's saying for a different reason. And I see the importance of making your argument for why you believe the book should be reviewed, but I also understand why some people may feel the need for anonymity. I get it.
It's not anonymous, it's FOIAble, and the work of the committee is public.
Okay, but the person probably doesn't want to read about themselves online in all these various groups, so they make their complaint. They probably pull back if that's what they so choose. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm I'm saying for different reasons, I understand why. But the principal would have to gather some kind of information other than what's on the paper, I'm guessing.
I think that's what the policy is assuming, is that there would be some back and forth to maybe
I don't know
clarify.
how
It
you-
depends on how thoroughly they fill it out.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know how you, if they don't fill it out well, someone's gonna have to follow up with them and say, can you specify your complaint? Can you point me in the right direction? Can you?
My thought truly about it would, and I don't feel strongly either way, to be honest with you. I think it's fine for them to be in the room. It's fine for them not to be part of it. My thought was just on the other end, especially with a situation like we have now, where I think it's been very polarizing, maybe to a degree, or at least it's a lot of passion on both sides of the issue with whether the books stay or don't. And so if the person has an opportunity to be involved and to witness the way it's done, I would think it would be less likely, if the decision was not in the complainant's favor, for them to immediately appeal based on maybe, I don't know. I'm thinking that if they see that it was done well, that there could be more investment on the back end if they. But I don't know that to be true either, so I don't want to belabor it. I just.
It probably depends on the specific
It does.
situation, the specific person.
That's entirely up to you. Just, I guess, I think you have the flexibility as a board to not do a second reading. I just don't know that you've done that. If you do a second reading and you have thoughts about D or number 2, I wanted to call your attention to it. And I would say if you do change number 2, then number 3 probably can be removed, which basically says you'll notify the complainant. If they're going to be a part of the process, I don't know that that needs to be.
Was this the only change that you wanted to address between all of the policies?
Yes.
Further discussion on this?
And the other thing you're adopting is the form itself. And you can see the changes are really semantic. They're not changed from what you approved in November. Changed from what you had already.
Yeah. It seems like it has opportunity for the individuals to articulate their considerations. All right, so one, if it's the case that we've never adopted a policy without a second read, then I'm inclined to vote again on this. And because we're practically up against action items anyway, to dispatch with the policy piece of this, I'm going to make them.
I thought this was considered under the.
It's not included, so I'm sorry, Mr. Pullen's asking if it would be included in the policies that you are going to approve on second reading. They're already under action items. This one was pulled out individually. If you do want to take action on them that way, rather than, because it was its own action item, you could just include them in your motion on A under 12.
Or since we're in the midst of this broader, thicker, stickier discussion, I'll try this. Why don't I make a motion that we accept policies KLB BFC and KLB-E with the change that on, trying to get to the right one. With the change that on KLB, we strike from 2D, including the complainant. Is there a second even for the sake of discussion?
Give me a moment.
I'll second
trying
for
to-
the sake of discussion, certainly.
That's
So-
fine. I was trying to wrap my mind
It's
around it.
okay. So what I'm saying is, we're in the middle of a discussion on this issue. We're severing the like, who's getting appointed to the committee with the fact that what I'm hearing from Dr. Gretz is we need to take action on it again because we don't traditionally vote on things, policies on first reading. I'm saying, cool, let's go ahead and vote for this thing. And I'm articulating that, like, I don't think that the complaint should be in the room. They fill out the form, they say what they think is wrong with the book, and I'm saying that the professionals in the room can do the rest, including the committee that we're putting together of community members. So my motion was to strike D, the comma, including the complaint. Please,
But this would be public.
which part?
The meeting of the committee. We discussed this before. This would be public. It would be foible. So you wouldn't be able to tell the complainant that they couldn't be there.
But they wouldn't have an active role
Yeah, anybody could attend.
in it. Yeah, it just wouldn't be it
So
would,
that was what I was hung up on. I wouldn't want to remove them, but they would still be able to participate voluntarily.
I mean, they could show up, like, but much like in our meetings, like if somebody were interrupting.
It still provides for transparency. They can see what's happening in front of
Yeah,
them.
all of it's FOIA-able. It's an appointed committee, therefore everything is on public record.
I'm okay with that.
They just wouldn't participate. Yeah.
They just want to have an active role in it, yeah, but they could still show up and listen, and if in the moment the committee were inclined, just as we are, from time to time to ask a question, certainly there's no prohibition against that. Okay, so from policy perspective, second read, we have a motion and a second, I think, over here.
Yeah, second.
Was it you? Okay, Mr. Key. To accept the policies with the strike of comma, including the complaint on 2D on policy KLB. Any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor of readopting these policies with that change, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We have a policy revised very slightly. And so all of that is dispatched with, and we got a bow on it as it relates to any consideration around second read. So now now there's the second. So we have the committee, we voted on it twice, so it is twice endorsed by us. Now it's the matter of committee members. I actually tend to agree with Ms. Johnson that we've been hearing about school resource committees and books that should or shouldn't be in libraries for months at a time now. My assumption was that we were going to move forward with appointing individuals this month. I believe that if it was so important that people felt compelled enough to come in the boardroom and articulate their passion for particular books or hatred for particular books, that it is important enough to be dispatched with as quickly as possible. So I am prepared to make a nomination of individuals if others are inclined. But this would be the time to have that discussion.
We've removed it from action.
Any board member may make a motion at any time. Just because you removed it from the agenda doesn't mean that somebody else couldn't make a motion to do it. It just means that it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Which part?
Well, actually, when we make a decision, the people that are on the dissenting side, this is Robert's Rules of Order, would have to bring that back up.
We're not re-voting on the agenda.
But if you
Your
want,
motion was for the agenda. No, I mean,
you're fishing. And in Robert's Rules of Order, when a
Don't
decision is
fish.
made, you have to, the dissenting party, we've had this discussion time after time, has to bring it back up.
it is not the same issue. If I wanted to revise the agenda, that might be the case. I'm not making a motion. I'm saying that individuals could, and it would not violate Robert's rules.
Go ahead.
What's unclear?
Oh, it's very clear. It's very clear. Go ahead.
Is there an issue?
Go ahead.
So anyway, so this would be the time to discuss or voice considerations as it relates to appointing individuals, whether or not it happens this month. It was removed from the agenda, which was the vote. It doesn't mean that individuals couldn't make the motion. But is there any further discussion on that point?
I'll concur with Andrew, 24 hours is not enough time for me to make a decision of 11 people, which one I'm gonna choose for this committee. That's my point.
I've known for at least a month that we agreed that we would appoint someone, and I've been looking and discussing and talking to people. And we got our first spreadsheet Friday, I think. And I've got myself ready to make a decision.
Yeah, I got a list of people. I would like to give everybody an opportunity. I would like to reach out to everyone to give everybody a fair opportunity before I decide on something.
All right. So then we are on to. Sorry, my page here is a mess. Unless there's anything further on that, then we'll move to 10A unfinished business.
So the board has discussed in the past, we discussed in November, the possibility of having a student representative. We brought this sample policy with some strike through. You had asked me to get some information from some other divisions nearby about how they select the student and what kinds of things they ask the student to do. And I have found that everybody does this differently and some don't do it at all. So I don't think that's probably helpful to you and to the degree that you wanted to mirror what others are doing. Yes, sir.
We've had student representative here before. How did this school system do it before? The principal picked the student? Or did
It
students
hasn't
apply
happened
for it?
in my tenure, so I can't speak to that. I do know that the policy said that the principal would choose based on students who had submitted some work. I can't read it from here. I can pull it up. But do others remember?
Yeah, the principal appointed.
Okay. So the policy you have here, students who are nominated as a student liaison to the board must be a student at Fluvanna County High School. Students may submit, okay, so this doesn't require it, may submit a written essay, video recording, or slide presentation detailing the reasons they would like to serve as a student liaison to the school board, what they can contribute to the school.
It started out doing this like this. But then as we went on, the decision was made to use officers of the SGA and they were rotating who was coming in. So they really weren't following this policy. per se.
And the second paragraph explains that the principal of the high school would nominate up to 4. And then they would have an opportunity to submit supporting material. I've seen this. I think this is, I think it's a good opportunity for students. It gives them a snapshot of how this kind of process and how the process of committees, community members being involved in local government. It gives the board an opportunity sometimes. Quite frankly, now I know that there are students who would come in and it would not be this way at all, but typically I've seen that students are a little bit sheepish about speaking during a school board meeting. But if you had a question that you wanted to get a student perspective, certainly that student would be able to represent the entire student body to you. But it gives them an opportunity to interact with you. They don't have, and it specifies in the policy, they're certainly not part of closed session. And the board would have the opportunity to provide flexibility. I've seen that in the past too. If a meeting ever were getting to a point in the evening where you thought it would be better for a student to go home, you can give them the flexibility to leave at that time. And you could ask the student to do a report to the board. I've seen that before. I've seen where students just come and they attend and they watch and listen. I've seen where school boards have asked the student to come prepared with a report. And maybe this is a secondary reason, but it does give the student an opportunity to add that to their high school experience when they're submitting applications to jobs or other opportunities, colleges that they served in that capacity.
How soon can we get it going?
I mean, we could do it probably as soon as the board would like us to, if you want to approve the policy. Could have it in place in January and probably, I don't know if you'd want to select somebody to serve for the rest of just the spring. We could certainly do that. Or we could start fresh next year. It's totally up to you. I don't think it would be hard for us to bring you candidates.
I believe they change every month, I believe. Isn't that right, Perry?
I think the last routine we had was, they changed each month when we had the SGA
For
office.
the whole year, it'd be right much of a burden on the student, especially if they had sports and stuff like that, but I think the representative monthly would be fine. It could be a problem with the population of the high school.
So then you would need to amend the second paragraph here. Because the last sentence in the second paragraph says student representative serves a 1-year term. You need to amend that if you wanted to do it monthly.
Is the board inclined, is there consensus that you would like to give students an opportunity to rotate through such that a student would be a representative for one meeting during a school year?
I think that's a kindness to the students.
Mr. Pullen?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Could we have revised language on that in the January meeting? And then it's a policy revision. So does this count as a first read? Can we take action on it in January?
Sure.
And then we'll have, I also don't expect students to attend during summer months. So to the extent that that's necessary to specify, if we could see a second read indicating that it'll be a 1-month thing. Everyone good with the principal being the nominating piece of this? Okay, so
Bring it in. January.
revised policy in January under our policy updates for action. And then we'll have our first seated student representative in February. Believe that is all for unfinished business. What about new business? Anything? Alrighty then, we're on to action items, approval of VSBA policy, Fluvanna policy updates. Dr. Gretz, is there anything in particular you want us to?
Nothing new.
Attention to?
Already seen these and nothing's changed with them. Certainly, if you have questions, we can dive into them.
I'll entertain a motion if no one has anything specific they want to look at.
I'm making a motion, we approve the VSBA policy updates as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on these policy updates?
I have a question for you, Mr. Pullen. It's a little snarky, but we've known about these policy updates less than we've known about appointing someone to a learning resources committee. Do you think that I should defer my decision-making to Mr. Reed on this also?
Let's put it in context, Ms. Johnson. We're making a decision on a one-year term on names that some of us have had for less than 24 hours and the importance of those people. For me, Mr. Kelly's right. A lot of people came in here and spoke. Not a single one of the people that came and spoke that I know, am I even considering? Have I considered? I'd like to invest some more time in something that's been so important. I did not know until last month that we were selecting a person from the community. We discussed that last month. We didn't discuss that months and months and months ago. We discussed the possibility of it for years, but we didn't finally make a decision and decided to collect names until 30 days ago.
And
So
30
so
days
some of you may have had people in mind. And again, that just contributes to the politics of this whole thing. That
Which
contrib-
part? Makes it
Having
political.
names in mind and discussing people before you even have them.
First of all,
I
I
have
never
two-
said I had a name in mind without discussing it with people.
Well, there's a lot more names were added since you mentioned the people that you'd already chosen. I mean, there's,
Names are still coming in.
okay,
This document that we were given was to assist us in making our decision. It wasn't the source of our decision.
okay, well,
We asked Dr.
would like-
Ritz to do it to help us. I've been looking into people ever since I knew that was going to be my responsibility.
okay, well, I'm using the people that reached out either to the school system or to me, none of which spoke, none of which, I think you'd be surprised about the people that I'm considering because they probably don't think exactly like I do. But I want to give them the opportunity to sit down and talk with me face to face and tell me why they think that they're best suited for that position. And I had 24 hours. I had to literally left work to come here to go back to work tonight. I haven't been off work since we got the list. I need time to sit down and talk to these people. It's an important decision. So there's three people that have all felt the same way. And again, that's my decision. I feel passionate about sitting down and looking these people in the eye and asking them why. In fact, I might do that tonight after this meeting with one person
I
in particular.
understand.
But
So
I did not make a decision before this meeting.
my question now is, you suggested I might want to defer that decision to Mr. Reed. Is there anything else on the action items here you think I should consider deferring to Mr. Reed over my own decision?
You're taking this out of context. These policies, okay, disregard. And the argument could be made that you're trying to push something through before someone else takes office. I'm not making that argument, but we can look at both sides of it here. I'm asking, and other people have asked for more time.
And I'm
That's it.
asking, what other action item here do you think I may be trying to push through? And I should defer to Mr. Reed rather than decide for myself.
I'm gonna be honest, your argument's falling on deaf ears right now. I think we just moved.
Confident that's the case, but, Board of Supervisors routinely, I mean, I was just at a last meeting in which, two board members who are retiring appointed somebody to a 4-year term.
Okay.
Okay, well,
With 24 hours of, you know what, we're arguing, you're literally trying desperately to get someone else to agree with you to push this through. Let's move on. It's not on the action item.
oh, I'm neither desperate nor, really trying to.
Then
sway
let's move
anything.
on and end this meeting. We have 3 other things or 4 other things on action items. Let's move forward. I'm not gonna sit here and debate with you for the next hour. Let's move on.
So I believe that we have a motion and a second. As it relates to the VSBA policy updates, a robust discussion about lame duck sessions. And some lack of decorum. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed on the policy updates, please say no. I don't know if I heard you, Andre. Was that aye? So that's 5-0 on the policy updates. Moving on to 12B. It's SY 24. Should that be FY? SY? F. Just say SY. I believe we're on the SLEP MOU. It says SY 24, but I have to, maybe it's FY.
Uh,
It is school year, okay. So we're on,
sorry, I was missing.
no, it's okay. I just, as I was reading it, I thought it might have been a typo. So we're on the SLEP MOU. And,
This is the MOU between the schools and law enforcement related to school resource officers. It hasn't changed from last month. It was in last month's packet, informational. If you approve it tonight, I'll sign it, and pass it on to the sheriff to sign as well. Did you want to open it up?
I think he was motioning for it to be larger on the screen.
Are there any sections of it that you have questions about?
Scroll down, Mr. Strip.
Goes over the purpose of the program, the roles and responsibilities of the sheriff's office and the schools. The different expectations regarding what's provided.
Is anyone inclined to make a motion on this item?
I move to approve the SLEP memorandum of understanding as presented.
Is there a second? I'll provide the second for the, I don't, you didn't say anything, did you? Oh, no, I mean, it doesn't matter. I will, if you'll accept the second, we'll award it to you, Mr. Key.
I'll make the second.
Thank you. Any discussion as it relates to the MOU? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
So
All right, so 4-1, the SLEP MOU is passed. All right, so C was removed, so we are on to 12D, approval of decision of whether or not to remain in a self-funded insurance plan. Is anyone inclined to make a motion?
I move that the Fluent County school system move forward with a self-funded insurance model using Jefferson Health.
Second. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 5-0, we are staying in a self-funded model with Jefferson Health. We are now on to the second round of public comments. This is again the point in the night where we invite members of our community.
One more item.
Oh, shoot, H. I'm so sorry, Ms. Jackson. Thank you. So we had action item H, which is the naming of the Fluvanna County High School Auditorium. Is there a motion?
I move to name the Fluent County High School Auditorium the Scruggs Auditorium after Mr. Scruggs.
May I make a friendly amendment as it relates to the exact name? There is a petition that has a, here it is. Would you make a friendly amendment that it be called the Horace Jefferson Scruggs, comma, the third auditorium?
Sounds good.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Alrighty. All those in favor of the naming of the auditorium accordingly, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
No.
I'll abstain because though I approve of the choice, most certainly I don't agree that any choice should be made at all.
Thank you so much for that. So 3, 1 abstention. We now have the Horace Jefferson Scruggs III auditorium. All right, apologies, folks. I was looking at my computer, not my scribbled notes from tonight, and we've had a bit of change as it relates to the agenda. So now we are on to public comments. This is our second round. We invite members of the community to come forth and be heard for up to 3 minutes. Please provide your name and address. Don't direct your comments at any one board member, et cetera. So thank you so much.
Christopher Kopp. I live at 19 Ashton Road. I'd like to comment on the item that you discussed tonight, the student representative to the school board. The suggestion was made to make it a 1 month at a time appointment. The individuals that would be interested in these appointments were probably most interested in getting some experience with working with government entities and also to have something substantial to put on their college resumes. Having a month by month doesn't really give an individual enough time to situate themselves in the issues of the school, get to know, discuss amongst themselves, and then make reasonable and thoughtful recommendations to the board members. Therefore, I would recommend that it would be on a semester by semester basis, either quarterly or semester, but at least give them a little bit of time to settle in, get their feet wet, and then try to make some actual substantial impact. That way they can have something actionable on their resumes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who'd like to come forth and be heard?
I really only came tonight just to recognize Perry, but just want to make a few comments on the Learning Resource Committee. I'm glad that you all are having a second reading because I really think you have to be very thoughtful in how you do it. And just how it's organized, I'd like to recommend one that when there's a meeting, it is a public meeting, as you said it will be, but also that there's comments allowed by the public and that announcement goes out as to what books being considered. So that not just the one person who's against it can speak, but maybe even students who are the ones who actually are gonna be using the library, that they could speak and other people could speak. So also on the committee, I guess I'm unsure or concerned, are they making recommendations to the school board or are they actually making the decision? And I think that's something that you all really have to consider. It, most things that become policies or whatever, it usually is approved by the school board. They're not other committees making those decisions. So that's just something to think about. Also, when there is, I think also you have to also, as you're being thoughtful, think about, is it a library book or is it a classroom instructional book? Those things, you have to really look at that and not just any book, but what is it being used for? And also, since the committee is going to be tasked with having hopefully to read the book, not just one page of the book, that means that school board's gonna have to provide copies for the book. And if there's only one in the library, you're gonna have to have a fund to buy the books. So I just think you have to be very thoughtful. I understand that this committee's going forth, but I'm just not sure that a lot of thought about the logistics have been made and that maybe you all need to really think about it and revise some of those policies.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come forth and be heard?
This may not be appropriate because it's really a question rather than a comment. I'm Keith Weimer. I live at 330 Jefferson Drive. And as a parent, I'm just curious, based on some comments I heard is membership of the Learning Resource Committee to be confined to those who filled out the form that Superintendent Gretz sent around, or is it possible that others would be? Because I had the impression that the form needed to be filled out and that the list of names would be drawn from the form. No, okay.
I don't know if you want me to, I'm not, but
It's okay.
I'm not sure if that's appropriate to answer or not, but I did have that question because I had the impression it was like a requirement and then it sounded like this is more of an optional.
it was my offering to the school board to do that survey,
Okay,
if it would be helpful to give them names. It wasn't meant to be an exclusionary list, that only people who filled out the form could be considered.
okay,
But as you're considering people in your voting district, if it's helpful for me to give you the names of people who expressed interest, here they are.
okay,
So it could be people that didn't fill out the form. It has to be somebody in the voting district, according to what was passed.
okay. All right, that's helpful and important to know, given some of the different comments in the debate that I heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone else who'd like to come forth and be heard? Seeing none, I'm going to close our second round of public comments. We are on to school board member comments. Does anyone have any comments this evening?
I had some last parting words for Gary in the last meeting. You've been here with me the longest 8 years, and you've always, been a friend, companion, and always appreciated your perspective as an employee, as a teacher, looking from the teacher's side, and long-term employee of the schools. And thank you for everything you did.
Thank you so much.
Other board members? I'll note that, so first I want to thank the county for their carryover funds as it relates to the Central Elementary bathrooms. That is a remarkable donation to the schools in order to fix things that are in dire need of being fixed. I'll note, I think I said this earlier, I thoroughly enjoyed the second grade concert on Tuesday. Tomorrow, it's my understanding that the extension co-op will be at Carriesbrook doing trying to come up with the right words for it. Effectively like a store, if you will, like I think where they give students like, I'm gonna butcher this. In fact, I was just talking to Kim Mayo at Ms. Johnson's event, and but effectively an opportunity to act as it relates to budgeting and other things. And so it's like a financial / store experiment with the kids. So I will be going, I hope to go tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock and experience this and then be able to report back a little bit on that as well. I know that Thursday there is the high school band concerts. And so I look forward to being in attendance for that as well. And just a phenomenal amount of lovely things going on in the schools throughout my recent visits, and as I, celebrate holiday things and performances. So I'm remarkably grateful and happy to witness much of this. As I indicated earlier, Ms. Johnson, I really enjoyed working with you. I'm confident it is not our last discussion either. And so thank you again for that. Any last words, Ms. Johnson? There's no plank or blindfold, I'm afraid.
It's been an honor, and I'm grateful to know all of you and have worked with you.
Unless there are any others, there are informational items in your packet. And I'll give Mr. Pullen the opportunity to make his motion for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Andrew, don't drive angry, man.